A university in California is shown at the beginning of the film. A researcher was working on a project in its research lab. The researcher's name was Zoe. Her team includes 3 members, named Clay, Nico, and her best friend Frank. They do an experiment on a dead dog and it failed. A new partner comes into their team the next day, named Eva. She was a camera assistant. Zoe introduces Eva to everyone. Zoe and Frank record their project with Eva. They were telling about their invention. It was a serum. They were researching on it. They also record other information, including how that serum works. Frank tells, any dead person or animal can be brought back to life with the use of serum. Zoe was working at night shift. Nico scares her while coming there, and they start talking. While talking, Zoe tells him, after this project I will marry Frank. Nico becomes sad on it, because he also likes Zoe. They were discussing their research the next day. Clay shares his idea to Zoe. He tells that their experiment on a dog becomes successful. They all become happy because of it. The night falls. Zoe is having a nightmare. Zoe is terrified when she discovers a fire in her apartment. She immediately awakes. Frank comes and asks her, "Are you again terrified of the nightmare?" Zoe says yes. We learn that Zoe used to have nightmares every day. Next day, they carry out their remaining experiment. They want to revive the dead dog with the help of their serum. Eva was recording the process of this experiment in her camera. While checking the eyes of the dog, Zoe discovers the dog is blind. After it, they inject their serum into its brain. It was also given an electric shock, and after some time the dog revives. While relaxing the dog, Zoe again checks its eyes. The eyes of the dog were fine now. It was because of the serum, definitely. Zoe tells, this serum is not only to revive someone but also for healing. Then they celebrate because of their successful experiment. Zoe and Frank take the dog home with them, but the dog was behaving strangely. The dog comes to Zoe at night when she was sleeping. It was staring at her. Next day, Eva tries to play with the dog. It was laying at a place not doing any movement. They perform an MRI on it and discovers that the serum is still present in its brain. It indicates that serum did not circulate throughout the body. Clay was working on the project alone at night. The dog was also locked in a cage there. Suddenly he hears a voice. When he checks, he discovers that the dog has gone missing. He goes looking for the dog. Suddenly it appears in front of him and barks at him weirdly, like someone has possessed it. Clay meets his team members and tells them everything. None was believing him. After it, Frank checks the brain of the dog. He discovers the cells of the dog are changing because of the serum. Frank becomes worried after seeing this. The following day, Zoe and Frank goes to the university to meet the project's leader. The project leader becomes furious at Frank. She says, I permitted you to conduct an experiment on a coma patient, but you all are doing something else. Interfering with nature's or God's work is always a disaster. Frank makes him understand that, we done it for the benefit of humanity, and he says someone has given you the wrong news. We are not doing anything wrong. The project leader does not listen to them and tells that someone else has bought your project and your research work also. Frank says we can't sell our research to anyone. Then there was a raid on their laboratory. Even the funding also stopped for their research. Zoe tries to make them understand, but the officers ignore her. Eva secretly runs from the back door with the dog. After some time, when Frank returns, he sees their hard work is wasted. They lost everything. The next day, they were discussing. They decide to continue the experiment secretly. It is obvious they had nothing regarding the experiment. They say we have to prove ourselves again. Here we come to know, Zoe has successfully stolen a sample of that serum, and Eva successfully keeps the entry card with her and shows it to everyone. Eva goes to their research center with the dog while showing the entry card. She also brought others from the back door in the lab. They again start their experiment. They make more serum with the sample they had and start their experiment. They were conducting an experiment on another dog this time. The first dog was also locked in the cage and was also seeing all this. Eva was recording and Zoe was about to turn on the main switch. Due to electric failure, Zoe passes from a massive electric shock. Zoe dies on the spot because of it. Frank doesn't want to lose Zoe because he loves her. He decides to inject this serum into Zoe. so she will resurrect. But everyone forbids him from doing so. They claim that we have never conducted such experiments on humans. Frank says, I know this serum works and I want Zoe back. They all agree with him and Frank injects the serum in Zoe. Nico sees that the security guard was coming towards their lab. They all hides, only to emerge when the guard departs. They see Zoe is sitting on a stretcher, it means she revives. Frank becomes happy after seeing Zoe is revived. They do the MRI of Zoe and after discovering the changes in her cells, they become worried. Frank takes Zoe with him. Zoe describes what was going through Frank's mind at the time. Frank gets terrified after hearing this and runs from there. Here we discover due to the serum Zoe's brain power has enhanced. She can read people's brains and can also moves anything without touching. Suddenly, her fingers turn blue. The mirror breaks when she sees it. The dog starts barking at her while there. Zoe kills the dog while using her brain power. After that, she comes to Frank and tells him, I am not like before. I am changed and strange things are happening to me. When I die I was stuck at a place for years and there I listened to the screams of the people. That had to be hell, in my opinion. Frank says, you only die for a few minutes. It may be a side effect, don't worry. After it, Frank injects a sleeping injection into Zoe. When Zoe was sleeping, Eva comes to her, but with the brain power of Zoe, Eva also enters her dream. It was the nightmare Zoe. It refers to that time, when she was a child. Eva attempts to converse with her, but she remains silent. Then Eva awakes. Frank tells her, actually it is a nightmare of Zoe. It used to tease her always. When Zoe was a child, her building was set on fire, so Zoe couldn't get out of its nightmares. But Eva sees there are burn marks on her hand. As she enters the nightmare in reality, Clay tells Eva, Zoe's brain power has enhanced because of the serum, and it happened with the dog also. Zoe's eyes were turned black when she wakes up. Nico searches for her. He couldn't find Zoe, but after some time, she comes from behind him. Zoe acts strangely around him. Because she has read his mind, Zoe arrives enraged after Nico pushes her back. Zoe says that it will be disastrous for all of you. Her eyes again turned black, and she throws him in the cupboard and locks the door without touching him. She crushes him badly. After it Zoe again sleeps. When they all return they couldn't find Nico. Zoe reacts like she doesn't know anything, but Eva suspects her. Zoe uses her intellect once more and locks them inside, not allowing them to leave. Eva was sitting near Zoe. Zoe says you are thinking right. I am not from this world. Eva gets scared. Clay asks her about Nico whom she has killed. Zoe stabs his electric cigarette burner in his mouth with her powers. Clay also dies from lack of oxygen. After it, Zoe disappears and reaches somewhere else. Frank and Eva were left there. Then everything was seen flying in the air. Zoe was throwing everything towards them. They were injured because of it. Eva and Frank run from there. After it all the dead bodies got revived. Frank makes an injection and Eva is asked to promise, no matter what happens to Zoe, she will not let Zoe to leave the house. If she goes outside she will destroy everything. Frank leaves to find Zoe. He sees Zoe was standing at a far distance. After a while, Zoe approaches him and asks, why did you bring this injection? To make her believe. Frank puts the injection down. He makes her understand that we will make everything fine. Zoe asks him, do you still love me? Frank says yes, still I do. Zoe says okay, let me check myself. After reading Frank's brain she shouts in anger, and she kills Frank brutally. The demon inside Zoe was clearly shown. She also injects the remaining serum into her brain. As a result, her brain had progressed to a more dangerous and powerful stage. It seems like now it is impossible to finish Zoe. Meanwhile, Eva makes 2 injections and takes them outside secretly. Zoe was behind her and Zoe throws her at a far distance. After it, Eva somehow escapes from there. She closes the door and notices the child Zoe standing there. It was the nightmare of Zoe that Eva seen before. Eva sees the small Zoe having a matchbox in her hand. It was clear that Zoe has set the apartment on fire. Zoe comes inside while breaking the door. Her face was burning and looking terrible. Eva says to the small Zoe, you are innocent. Even now you can save some people while opening the door. When the small Zoe opens the door, Eva has come to reality. Eva injects the injection into Zoe's belly, saying sorry to her. She injects the another injection into her throat. Zoe died as a result of it, and Eva was sobbing there. Eva was rescued and she weeps a lot while hugging the rescue officer. She tells everything that, "I killed Zoe with my hands." She notices Zoe's body has vanished from the floor, and the rescue officer was none other than Zoe. After it, Zoe also kills Eva. Following that, we see Zoe bring Frank's dead body there and inject her blood into his body. After his resurrection he will resemble Zoe. Frank opens his eyes and the movie ends along with it. I hope that you liked the video. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.